Hey, this is Ryan Tucker, and we want to thank you for listening to the Unchangeable Truth podcast. In this podcast, we get to dive into Pastor Stephen's weekly sermons right here at Highland Park Baptist Church. We would ask you to rate, like, subscribe, and comment. And again, we are honored and thankful that you have chosen to listen to the Unchangeable Truth.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Unchangeable Truth podcast with Steve and Kyle right here at Highland Park Baptist Church in Panama City, Florida. And this is one of our context series. And before we get there, though, I always like to ask the question, how is life? How's it going? You got your vest on today, so it's kind of chilly in Florida.
It is, but I'm going to quote my life phrase. I am too blessed to be stressed.
That's good.
That's a good one. I know I heard that. I think I maybe heard Adrian Rogers say that years ago or something.
Yeah.
Too blessed to be stressed.
Well, if it gets below 50, we always pull out the jackets and the hoodies. And
Yeah, either he said that or MC Hammer did. I think his might have been too legit to quit.
I think that was
sounds
MC
about
Hammer.
right. Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to listen to MC Hammer growing up.
But what about his song "Pray"? That's when we pray. We got to pray
Right.
just to make it today.
Yeah, but my parents, I couldn't listen to any secular music.
Well, there you go. That's
That's why I'm so holy today.
It's a good mama and daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they listen to this? Because I'm gonna be honest, he's listening to secular music now. It's come on now.
I don't really listen to music.
Do you not?
But no, not really.
Okay.
But my mom listens sometimes.
On the podcast.
Hello, Mother Tucker. How are you today?
Oh,
No,
Mama
she-
Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
She had like 4 of you boys.
Just two.
2 boys.
Yeah. I have my brother's 11 years younger than I am. I call him he's the skinnier version of Ryan.
He's got a big old beard though. He
used to. It's smaller now, but he doesn't have any hair anymore. But he's skinny.
There you go. And is your dad officially retired, or is he still doing some ministry?
Part time.
Part time. As if there is such a thing.
Well, his part time employment at the church, but now he's still preaching every Sunday.
Yeah. You know what they call a part-time minister? Part-time pay.
Part time, yeah, that's true.
Still full-time job.
Yeah.
My dad's a quote bivocational minister.
Yeah.
Spends more time at it than I do. at a church with, goodness, I think I saw the recent number. Like, are we at 6,000 members? Or are we like 5,600 members?
I did not see that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know.
I can't answer that question.
I think we broke 5,000.
Okay.
I saw that. I don't know. Sometimes I think people take those reports and just, all right, we hadn't used this number in a while. Write that number down.
We work hard on it.
I know y'all
I just
do.
didn't see the final result of it.
Yeah.
But.
Anyway, a lot more people that we need to reach. We're not interested in just getting numbers.
Yeah.
We'd like souls.
Yeah.
But everything's good. You're right. It's cold. Wearing a vest. It's we just checked. I mean, we're in the afternoon, and it's technically 53, which I know a lot of people around the world, especially those there. A lot of folks listen to us in Italy right now, unless they're hanging out at the coast.
Is it a lot, or is it like one pinged in Italy?
Come on, brother.
Didn't tell me.
Come on, brother.
We're gonna say a lot.
I'm saying a lot.
A lot of people in Italy.
And I've been to Rome, so next time I'm there, if you see me or if you hear my voice in the Rome airport, go ahead and come up and say hello. I'd love to talk to you, but it's cold here at 53. The wind makes it feel like 43.
Yeah.
And then during the night it's going to get down to 33. And so it's too cold to be bold.
No.
Anywhere.
No.
I can remember when I came here, moved here over 15 years ago from Little Rock, the first winter, get down to 60 degrees. Then I say the word winter. I'm using that word very loosely.
Yeah.
And there be people out there wearing big old Eskimo parkas with muck-luck boots on, just freezing to death.
I don't know what a muckluck boot
Well,
is.
you have to look it up.
Okay.
If we had You know, if Lucas would ever come in here and be our research assistant,
man.
in which I talked to Lucas last night.
We got a spot right there for him.
Lucas was very excited that his name was mentioned on the program. As a matter of fact, they were driving down the road, he and his mom, and by the way, Lucas, it's about time you start caring for yourself, brother. But they were driving down the road, and his name was called, and his mom said that he said, "Oh, I cannot believe it! Oh my goodness!"
Yeah.
They've just called me out on the unchangeable truth. So this will be a little exciting thing for him. And just to let Lucas know, I'm still waiting on him getting the wrestling ring. And, you know, he keeps making excuses. He didn't have any money. He didn't have a job. He's 8 years old or ever how old. He may not be 8, but if Lucas were in here, he could help us looking up how many people we had in Italy listening to us and Muck Luck Boots. I think that's an Eskimo brand but there are such a thing. So my first winter here, there are people wearing these big old coats and all this kind of stuff. And I laughed and laughed and laughed. And then I went home for Christmas. And home be Tennessee. And I froze to death.
Yeah.
And boy, you acclimate quickly. To what it is here. And 50 degrees in the panhandle of Florida is a lot colder than 50 degrees anywhere else.
Yeah.
Something about it coming off that bay.
It's chilly.
And so I can tell you this. When you open the door for your dog to go out who has just been staring at you for at least 30 minutes like, hey, look, man, the sun is up. And you're like, yeah, but the sun's up earlier than normal. Anyway, you finally give in. And you open the door, and the dog looks at you and says, I ain't got to go that bad.
Yeah.
And it's cold. And that was this morning, and it's going to be colder in the morning. So
my lab takes the opposite approach. When it gets colder, that thing is hyper.
Yeah.
Just running everywhere.
Yeah. I got a golden doodle. It's not quite that way, a little bit more refined.
That thing will run up the stairs, and it sounds like a freight train. Just up and down because it's got the zoomies or whatever they call it.
I'm very excited, though, because I can remember it wasn't that long ago. You're like, we ain't having a dog.
Man, I don't want to talk about it.
And I would tell you, I would say,
I don't
man,
want to talk about it.
You're destroying your boys, man. You're ruining your boys. They're going to be on some, like, talk show later on. And my daddy never would let me have a dog. And if Miss Tucker's listening, I mean, Ryan's mama, Miss Tucker.
Yeah.
You know, he finally gave way, and the boys got a dog. Now, I'll be honest, I think they're a lot more well-rounded now.
Probably so.
That's good. But, you know.
I got hustled. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, we're talking about unchangeable truth. And so we probably need to get into some unchangeable truth.
We do.
It's a little weird because we've kind of done this partially, and we had some technical problems.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
Things happen.
That's
why we need a corporate sponsor so we can get all the equipment. I'm telling you, if people were to walk into our studio, they'd be shocked. They think that this is a world-class organization.
You don't need a corporate sponsor. You need a producer.
Oh, no, we got a producer. We just need a sponsor so we can get the producer to where he doesn't have to do anything.
That's right.
But anyway, it's
context.
There are people that are still just finding out who the producer is. We've been doing this for a while. We use his stage name. We don't use his normal name. So anyway, every now and then we'll let it slip, and he goes in. He edits it out. He likes
bleeps it out.
The anonymity of the producer of the show. But when we make it really big, he'll wish everybody knew he was.
I don't want to go to Rome and be recognized by that.
That's true. That's true. I'm with you there. It's a burden people have to carry. I tell you, the last time I was in the airport at Rome, I'm like, goodness, why won't these people leave me alone? And,
probably that vest. You were wearing that vest. They really wanted to.
Yeah, this vest fit probably looser when I had it on, too. I don't know. It's a little tight today.
All right. Context. Here we go.
Let's dive in.
Dive in. We haven't said that word in a while.
Just two guys sitting around having a conversation.
Here we go. Diving into.
Hey, can I just say this before you start?
My goodness.
Please quit talking about stuff that upsets our listeners and viewers. All the feedback we get from people, it's usually stuff. It's usually the stuff that you say. And, remember, you're just, you guide the conversation, man.
I'm trying to guide the conversation. You won't let me, man.
Let's do it, man.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about the context series, and the verse you are looking at today is, the verse we're looking at today is the one, and you say it's not taken out of context for the most part, but it's misquoted as, the money is the root of all evil. And, the correct word is the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil.
1 Timothy chapter 6.
Yeah.
And it is. And we live in a culture. I was just talking today about this to our Kenyan missionary that I was driving to the airport that's been here with us this weekend. And I told him, I said, right now in the United States, there is a huge push that basically says, if you are wealthy, you had to have gotten it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Big is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a big church, and I mean we have big buildings, and there are a lot of people that come, and so naturally there are folks that are like, big's bad, and we really work hard trying to create smaller community within the bigness of our church. And I mean, I'll say a lot of times, well, what are we supposed to do? Put a sign on the door, sorry, full, nobody else welcome. No, man, we'll shove them in as much as we can, because we believe that, if you can hear the gospel, then you can respond to the gospel. And so
We've literally brought in chairs before.
We have. People lean up against the walls, all kinds of stuff. But big is bad, and success. If you're too successful, it's bad. Something must be wrong. So it's almost like keeping with that theme. Well, money, if you have money, then you're evil. But yet, I believe the Bible teaches that there's some people that they have this gift of giving.
Yeah.
And God blesses, and they give, and God gives more, and they give it away, and God gives more, and they use it to support the gospel going forth, and to send out missionaries, and to be able to care for those things that are precious to God's heart. And so it's not money that is evil. Money itself, it's no different than this pen that I have right here.
Yeah.
This pen, it's inanimate. I mean, you can't say that's a good pen, that's a bad pen. And by the way, this is a good pen. It's a little bold, and I like it. And it's a special kind of pen that I like to get. But if I take this pen and stab you in the eyeball, this has now become bad. Well, no, the pen's not bad. I'm bad because I use the pen. Money's the same way. Money's a resource. Money is a tool that God gives, that he tells us we're to be good stewards of. Just like anything that we have in life, we're to be good stewards of. I mean, yesterday we dedicated 20 plus children.
Yeah.
And, God, I made the statement to the parents in this dedication, hey, look, you're called to be a good steward of these children, that ultimately at the end of the day, they're not even ours. These are God's kids.
Yeah.
We only have them for a moment. And man, I'm telling you, when they're young, you think this is never going to end.
Yeah.
And then they get older, and you're like, man, this went too quick. And I want to be a good steward while I have them. Same way with the influence. You and I, because we are a part of a world-known podcast, have some influence, right? I mean, there are people in Italy listening to us right now.
I try to hold it together.
Well, no, I mean, no matter what kind of influence you have, we're to steward that well. Again, money.
Yeah.
Let me steward it well. It can be something good. It is the love of anything outside of the prominent love, which is to be love for God. If the love of God is not driving everything that you do, then man, anything else that takes place in front of that is going to become evil. And that's what the love of money is. The love of money is evil.
Well, and you even talk about that, there's a lot of verses in Scripture that talk about money and talk about greed and possessions. And, one of the things I like about this sermon is you kind of break apart, or you talk about these, these misunderstandings of money, and you just kind of talked about it. Money itself is not evil, but it's how you're using that determines, that determines the goodness. And you were talking about people that give. I had a friend growing up. His parents were wealthy, but people that loved Jesus and loved other people and constantly gave and constantly served. And I remember her looking at me one time going, "Hey, we have so much money, we don't know what to do with it." But
I've never been there.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But they were stewards of
Sure.
their time, stewards of their money, stewards of the gifts that God gave them, and God blessed them in more ways than just the onset looking at the physical material things that they had.
Absolutely. And what makes us think that if we're not good stewards of a little,
Yeah.
that God's going to give us more?
Yeah.
And I heard a pastor tell this. It might have been Johnny Hunt, or it could have been one of those guys that are known. But anyway, basically, so he had a guy that came to his office and is like, "Hey, look, I've spent most of my life tithing, but now I make so much money, I'm having a hard time tithing, because a tithe off of all the money I make is a tremendous sum." And I
don't have that problem.
I just have a hard time giving that much money in my tithe. And would you pray for me? And the pastor said, "Yeah, I'd be happy to." And so the pastor prayed and said, "Lord, I pray that you would make him to where he used to be. Give him nothing. Let him have little, because he was faithful to you in little.
Yeah.
And he's not faithful to you in much. Lord, give him what he had before, not much." And man, we're called to be good stewards and faithful to him, no matter what we have in our lives. And so, absolutely. And it's not necessarily the money that we love. It's the pursuit of all the stuff that money gives us.
Yeah, I think you called it the possession obsession.
A possession obsession. Yeah. Right. Stuff.
Yeah, because one of your biblical points here is that materialism leads to worry, and we suffer from this possession obsession.
And we all do.
Yeah.
And man, we can accumulate
Yeah.
so much stuff that we don't even need. Goodness, 8 years ago, something like that, before we had massive hurricane that hit here, we had been good stewards and we had saved. And anyway, I've never been one of those that struggle with tithing, and I'm thankful that at an early age, my parents taught me to tithe. And I would say to anybody that's listening to us today, the same thing, man. Start at an early age. You have an allowance that you give to your children. Let's say you give them $1. I guess $1 a week's not much. Let's say you give them $10 a week, right? That's probably not much either. But teach them, okay, $1 of this, you tithe. You take it to the church that you are a part of. And so my parents taught, so I've never really struggled with tithing. But we got to the point where we're like, okay, we want to build a house, and so we had the resources to be able to do that. And we were building the house, and so we had to move out because we sold our house very quickly, and we were moving into a rental house. And so we naturally got a storage unit, and we put our stuff in the storage unit, and we'll leave our stuff in the storage unit until we get into our house, and then we move all the stuff into our house from the storage unit. And that was 8 years ago. I still have the storage unit. There are still things in that storage unit. I'm still paying, I think, $125 a month.
Oh, goodness.
On a storage unit that's got stuff in it that I don't need.
Yeah.
That I need to take the time to go down. I'm being a poor steward. I really am. It'd be better. $125. I'm going to send this to a missionary, or I'm going to come and, I'm going to give it to a ministry or whatever. But we've accumulated this stuff. And if Jennifer and I were to go through this, it'd probably be, oh my goodness, we can't get rid of that. That's important. Those are the cars that our kid played with. We can't get rid of that. Okay, well, ask the kid if he wants it. If he doesn't want it, then guess what? Get rid of it. Give it to someone else. I tell our staff all the time here, if you've not used something in a year, get rid of it. Yeah. We're not in the storage business. We're in the people business. Of course, we hurt for space around
don't
here.
have any room for anything.
We need space for people, not for storage. And there are some staff members that it's a struggle. But seriously, I heard this somewhere. This is not a biblical principle, or I can't take you to chapter and verse. Maybe is the better way to say it. But yeah, if you have clothing that you've not worn in a year, they say to get rid of it. Give it to a charity. But what if I lose 30 pounds and I can wear that leather jacket and those, 32 Levi 501s? Yeah, probably not going to happen. Or if you do, you'll be so excited. Go buy you a new pair.
Yeah, but they might come back in style. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, yeah.
I'm with you. But we do. We think that materialism will buy happiness.
Yeah.
If I can just I live in, it's not a grand or anything like that, but I live in the nicest house I've ever lived in my life. And I don't sit there and say, oh my goodness, I'm overcome with joy because of this house. Usually, because two of our kids have, they're grown, they left home, and the baby's a senior, and he's talking about what he's going to do next year for college, and just him saying he's entertaining going off. My wife, she'll get a little teary eyed. It's going to be a brutal day when that happens. But you sit there and you're like, okay, we got 2 rooms that nobody sleeps there. And yet, so the very thing that you're like, boy, if I can just finally get that house, then everything will be a lot easier. And then you're just like, well, now I got to maintain this big old thing. Yeah. And my wife's like, I got to clean everything. There are only 3 of us that live here, but we got to clean it. And, don't leave the door to the back room shut. The dog, for whatever reason, thinks that's where she fits into the grand scheme of things in the family order, and she'll go in there and tear something up just to prove her dominance. It's crazy, but there are people all the time that think if I could just get this raise, if I could just get this promotion, just get this title, and it even flows over into relationships. Yeah. Well, if I could just finally, I can't tell you the number of people that I've spoken to, and one woman, years ago, just give me a husband. Yeah. Just give me a husband that'll satisfy this loneliness and this longing that I have. And she got her a husband. And I'm telling you, it wasn't any time at all. Worst thing that ever happened is I got a husband, just no. I'm not saying those things are bad, just like money. But God has created us to find that contentment and satisfaction and joy in Him, in the relationship that we have in Him. And so when you start getting all this stuff, what we find out is then you got to pay for all this stuff. And then what was supposed to bring you joy is now bringing you concern and worry and fear. How am I going to pay for all this? Yeah. What if something happens? I'll lose my job. What? I'll lose the house. Yeah. I'll lose the car. I'll lose, and again, I can't tell you the number of people that have come to me, probably to you as well, Ryan, and they're like, maybe we feel like God's called us to the foreign mission field, or I feel like that God's called me to ministry, and I need to head off to seminary to do that. And I know we live in a different day and time where you can do it from your computer, but we can't do it because we have all these bills. Yeah. We owe for all this stuff. So we don't have freedom. Yeah. The very things that we thought would bring us freedom, they don't bring us freedom. Have you seen the commercials? I don't know. It's a couple years old, and it shows this guy, and there's a guy talking. He's on a riding lawnmower, and they're like, "Here's Bob," and I'm sure I'm getting it wrong. Again, that's why we need Lucas here to do our research. But he's riding a lawnmower, and like, here's Bob, and he lives in this 4,000 square foot home in the most desirable neighborhood, and his wife's driving a brand new BMW, and Bob is driving the nicest mower in the world, and Bob is smiling, but Bob is in debt up to his eyeballs, you know? Oh man, how terrible that is. So yeah, don't let your pursuit of money become your God, but work hard. What do they say? An honest day's wage for an honest day's work.
Right.
I mean, let us be busy, let us work, and let us understand though that those are things that God has given us to make much of Him, and God provides, and I want to be a good steward of what God has provided me, not to where it becomes my own God.
Yeah. And you talk about contentment, and I think that's one of those things that we struggle with in especially U.S. culture. Both you and I have been overseas for different areas and different places, different things, and we've seen people that have way less than we have. Even if you look at the type of housing that they live in, or even the accommodations that they're even able to get, flooring on the ground, any of those things, running water, those stuff. And you look at them and they are very content with the things that they have. And you start asking them, why are they so happy? It's because, they have everything that they need, because they understand that God has given them life, and they understand that their contentment is not in the stuff. Their contentment is in the person of Jesus who saved them. And it's just hard to get there sometimes.
Yeah, so we find ourselves in these third world countries, and we sit there and, we look at their lifestyle, and then we look at our lifestyle, and we say, oh, how blessed we are in the United States because of all of the material. We don't say it this way, but because of all the materialism or the materials that we have. And they sit there, and I've heard this on multiple occasions come out of their mouths. I just don't know how you Americans as Christians do it, because you're cursed. You have so much stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, they start quoting the verse. I think it's out of Mark, where Jesus is like, it's easier for a camel to fit through an eye of a needle. And I would just stop and say this. People who try to draw present this picture of Jesus being very stoic and never laughing and not being a happy guy. How in the world could he say this without laughing?
Yeah.
It's easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle. And you think about the humps on a camel and how difficult that would be, than it is for a rich man to go to heaven. Now, he's not saying rich men can't go to heaven.
Correct.
He's just saying, usually when you have great riches, it causes you to fall more in love with what the riches bring instead of what Christ can bring. And that's not true across the board, because as we already mentioned, we know folks that God is blessed with great resources, and they use it to further the kingdom of the work of God. But, over in verses 6-8, when it's talking about contentment, it says, now godliness with contentment is great gain. And I love what it says. I know we got to finish, but it says, for he brought nothing into this world, and it's certain we can carry nothing out of this world. So I would pose this question to our listeners as we sign off. Ask yourself this question as you go about your day. Am I more concerned with the things today that I'm not going to take out of this world? Or am I more concerned with the things that will be taken out of this world?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we challenge you to listen to this, or we challenge you as you're listening to this, think about that question. And as always, Pastor Stephen, thank you for pointing us to Jesus and the truth of Scripture. We'll see you right here next time on The Unchangeable Truth.
This is Pastor Stephen Kyle, and I would like to thank you for listening to this week's episode of Unchangeable Truth. We would always love to talk to you about your relationship with Jesus Christ, so feel free to shoot us an email at podcast@highlandpark.org. That's HILANDPARK.org. The purpose of this broadcast is to help you fall more in love with Jesus Christ and your faith to grow as you consistently find yourself in the Word of God. If you ever find yourself in Panama City, please feel free to stop by and worship with us in person at 2611 Highway 231 North. May God bless you, and we look forward to you joining us again.